Hi Vinyl community, it's Mike Vinyl Spiral, and today's video is a contest entry for Royce in the House 842, and he's celebrating 200 videos, and also he's pushing to 700 subscriptions. So what he wants us to do is to show 10 albums. The first 3 albums should feature songs that are over 10 minutes long. The second 3 albums should all be soundtracks, and the third 3 albums should all feature great keyboard players. And as a bonus for the 10th album, he wants us to show one that has a poster with it. So here goes then. So the first of the albums with a track over 10 minutes long, I've gone for this one, Caravan, prog band from the 1970s, exponents of the Canterbury scene, and this is their most famous album and indeed their best album, and this is In the Land of Grey and Pink, and the whole of side 2 is taken up by a track called 9 Feet Underground, and that runs in at 22 minutes and 40 seconds. So that's the first one, Caravan in the Land of Grey and Pink, with a track over 10 minutes long. The second album is by Neil Young, and we don't really see enough of Neil Young, I think, on the vinyl community, even though the guy is so famous. We just don't see him, I think, unless I'm not watching the right videos of course, you know. But there you go. So this is his second album. It's from 1969, and it's Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. And I really love this album. And it has one track on it that qualifies, runs in at 10 minutes and 3 seconds. It's the last track on the album, and it's the lovely Cowgirl in the Sand. So that's the second album, Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere by Neil Young, with a track over 10 minutes long. And the third of the albums is this one, and it's by a band called Craven Faults. Seen them featured a few times on the vinyl community, and nobody seems to know who they are. On their Discogs page, there's no musicians listed at all. I'm pretty certain they're from Yorkshire. I mean, that's a Yorkshire landscape, if ever I saw one. And the district of Craven is in North Yorkshire, and it's centred around the lovely market town of Skipton, somewhere that I used to work years ago. So that's the album. It's called Erratics and Unconformities. It's from 2020, and it has 3 tracks over 10 minutes long. So it has on side 1 a track called Vaca Wall, which is 17 minutes and 37 seconds. Side 3 has a track called Slack, Slay and Temple, which is 18 minutes and 24 seconds. And then on the fourth side, a track called Hanging Stones, and that runs in at 10 minutes 29. So they're very ambient, experimental, electronic. They're a great band. If anyone knows who these guys actually are, whether they're actually sort of famous people who are moonlighting, I'd really like to know. So there you go, Craven Faults. Now, the second set of 3 are all soundtracks, and I've gone for these. First one is a Czech film from 1970, part of the Czech New Wave. And these are films that surprisingly were made under the communist regime, and they were even funded by the state. So, you know, the production values are pretty high on some of these films. This is called Valerie and a Week of Wonders, and as I say, it's from 1970, and the music is by Lubos Feiser. It's quite orchestral, but also sort of, I would say it's sort of, it's a bit acid folky. It's a really nice album. The film itself is quite weird. It's, I don't know, fantastical, surreal. It's a coming of age film, but it features religion, sex, and vampires, believe it or not. And it's a little bit dodgy, quite honestly. It's definitely a film of its day. The eponymous hero, Valerie, is played by an actress called Jaroslava Shalov. No, I'll start it again. Jaroslava Shalarova. And she was only 13 years old at the time. And the film is quite voyeuristic. I wouldn't necessarily recommend watching the film, but the soundtrack is absolutely lovely. The second soundtrack, this is a French film from 1971. It's called The Frisson des Vampires, and it's a soundtrack by a band from Paris called Acanthus. Now, I don't really know very much about them. The soundtrack itself is a bit proggy, bit psychedelic, and I don't think they've actually released anything else, or if they did, it's lost in the mists of time. But I'm sure somebody else will know. So there you go. So The Frisson des Vampires, it's a vampire film, you know, in a very sort of traditional vein. You know, a couple ill-advisedly visit a very gothic castle, and that's where the vampires live. So there you go. That's from 1971. The final soundtrack, and this one is from Japan, and it's from a film from 1979 called The Devil's Flute, and it's directed by Kosei Sato, and the soundtrack is by Horzan Yamamoto, who's the composer, and he also plays an instrument called the shakuhachi, which is a traditional Japanese wooden flute, and also on the composing credits is Yui Mai, and he's a keyboard player and a musical arranger. And this is tripped out jazz funk, basically. It certainly has a Japanese feel to it at times, but you know, this could easily be something that maybe you know, Bobby Humphrey was playing in the 1970s. Again, I really love this soundtrack, and it's a Devil's Flute, and it's from 1979. Right, the final set of three are albums that have great keyboard players. Well, I'll start with this one. I've got quite a lot of his stuff, and this is Nils Frahm, and he's a German composer and keyboard player. Now, he mixes electronic music with classical music. It's always keyboard, so you never really know what you get. And sometimes you get a lovely classical piece, other times you get electronica, but more often than not, it's somewhere in between. This album is called All Melody. It's a double album, and it's from 2018. It's on Erased Tapes label, and I absolutely love it. So that's the first, Nils Frahm, All Melody. The second is another album, also from 2018. And this is by Soap and Skin, and it's called From Gas to Solid, You Are My Friend. And I think the presentation of this album is absolutely lovely. There it is. And oh, there was a bonus single in there as well. So I don't think the graphics on the single really go with the album cover, but never mind. But it's an absolutely lovely album. And Soap and Skin is a project of an Austrian keyboard player and singer called Anna Plasch. And I recommend this highly. I don't think I've seen Soap and Skin on the VC before. But this is from 2018, as I say. I think it's her most recent album as well. And yeah, it's a great album by a great keyboard player. And the final keyboard album is this one. This is a debut from a Manchester band called W.H. Long. It's called Incidental Music, and it's from 2019. And it's on the Melodic label. They're from Manchester, and the name W.H. Long comes from the name of their local Chinese supermarket. And it's electronic, psychedelic. The keyboard player is also the singer, is called Joseph E. And in fact, the first track on this album that's called Simpatico People is absolutely superb. It's a real homage to 1970s krautrock. So if you like that sort of stuff, keyboard-based 1970s German rock music, then this is the album for you. This is Incidental Music by W.H. Long. And finally, as a bonus, to be entered into the competition twice, Royce has asked us to show an album that has a poster with it. And I've chosen this one. This is the latest by Tess Parks, and it's called And There Were Those who Were Seen Dancing. And Tess Parks is probably better known for her collaborations with Anton Newcombe from Brian Jonestown Massacre. But this is a great album. There it is. Well, the poster's in here. That's the pertinent thing, isn't it? So here's the poster. Just open it up, and there you are. Basically, it's a poster that has the names of all the tracks on it. So that's the album with a poster, and it's called And Those Who Were Seen Dancing, and it's by Tess Parks. So that's your lot. So I'll see you next time. Bye.